Hello, everyone. Terry here. Good to see everybody. I know people are starting to trickle in, and we will get started right in about 10 minutes or so. Um, Feel free to look over a slide. Again, I'm just getting some final things prepared here, and we will get started right on time today. All right. Hello, everybody. Again, we are getting started here in just a few minutes. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A as we go. Excited to get started here, and we will get started right on time, maybe a minute or so afterwards, just to give everybody a minute to log in. I happen to be one of those folks that likes logging in right as the clock hits 7 o'clock Eastern time. So I assume everyone else will do the same. But yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes here. And again, if you got questions, feel free to pop those in the Q&A. We will be using that here for this presentation. It is being recorded, so if you do have questions, you don't have to take notes during the presentation. Um, you'll be able to go over to the recording. It'll be recorded on YouTube, and you can review it again. So again, you don't have to take notes as you go through here, but if you have questions, make sure I get those answered so that you can review it here at the end. Again, we'll get started here in just a few minutes. And again, we are using the Q&A. So if you're on the call and you're on a Zoom, please click the Q&A. I will be using the chat that is going to broadcast to everybody, but the Q&A is going to be for you to ask me questions. So, all right, we'll get kicked off here in just a minute. Talk to you soon. All right, we'll get started here in just a minute. I've seen a couple more people have jumped on here. We anticipate about 30 people or so on the call tonight. I guess while I have a minute, as most of you have seen today, the markets kind of took a dip, but it could have been a lot worse. I assume with the X number of missiles that Iran fired, it could have been a lot worse. The market was a lot lower at one point. So, anyhow, keep an eye on that. If things get out of hand, you definitely want to circle the wagons. And although CDs, the rates have been dropping quite a bit here, um, you do want to probably take some money off the table as far as the market goes, at least until after the election. So, anyhow, my 2 cents worth. I am a financial advisor, fiduciary, but I will talk a little bit about Roth conversions. That's one thing that I get a lot of questions about, and I did leave a bunch of voicemails for everybody. Um, Roth conversions, if you have $250,000 or more in a Roth, or I'm sorry, in an IRA, 401k, 457, those kind of plans, you can save a lot of money in taxes if you do Roth conversions. Actually, there's 3 ways you can do conversions out of IRAs. And you could lower your tax bracket quite a bit. I'll show you an example of what we've got. But again, we will get started right on time. And I just figured I'd throw that out there for those of you who do follow the market. It did not look good today. Talk to you in a minute. All right. So we do have a couple minutes left. Since we've got a couple minutes left, if you have something specific you want me to cover, please do me a favor, just pop it in the Q&A. There's a Q&A button at the top. I like to make sure that I cover at least what people want me to recover. Now, this is a presentation basically on maximizing Social Security. I do talk a little bit about Roth conversions and some ways that you can roll your money out of IRAs and save money and taxes down the road. I'll get into that in a little bit. But if there's something specific you want, if you got widower benefits or something like that that you want me to answer specific questions to, how much money can you earn when you work and still get Social Security, those kind of things, pop them in the Q&A, because I want to make sure that this group is small enough for me to answer questions, but it's also large enough that if you don't get your questions in sooner than later, I do have 5-10 minutes towards the end of this presentation, but I want to make sure that I'm respectful of whoever gets their questions in first. So since you're in here before we actually get started, it's a good time to pop those in. And again, I will be back in just 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, about 2 minutes. All right, everybody, we'll get started now. And I always like to start with an interesting fact. But when Social Security first came out, there was about 40 people to every person getting Social Security paying into Social Security. Today, it's about 2.5. So I'm sure you heard that Social Security is going bankrupt. Social Security is not going to be here when we get here. They're going to drop the benefit, all those kind of things. We will answer those questions through this presentation. But I just think of it, when it first came out, the average lifespan for folks were about 67, 68 years old. Now it's 85, 84. So you can see that as we live older, that as we live older, Social Security is becoming a bigger part of our retirement plan. And as a retirement planner, the first thing we always look at is Social Security. So we always try to maximize Social Security. You're going to get that for life. And it really acts as an insurance policy for longevity. So, all right, we're going to get kicked off here. This is an interesting slide, and it shows that if you've been paying in the Social Security for 35-ish years, when you factor in interest, you're looking at about 1 million to 1.5 million that you have paid into and has increased over 35 years. So if the government were smart when it first came out with this plan, if it put that money aside for you and me and everybody else as it grew, there'd be about 1 million to 1.5 million for each individual, and it would have self-funded. However, they didn't do that. They just start taking off the top and feeding everybody else. But we'll get into that. Again, in today's presentation, if you do have a Q&A or if you have a question, please pop it into the Q&A. I see we already got a couple questions up there. I do have a couple of minutes here at the end that we will cover just questions. So I won't be able to get to everybody because we'll have quite a few people on this call. But if you do have Q&A, please go ahead and pop that in, and we'll get started. Disclosures. First off is I am a fiduciary. I am a financial advisor. I am not a CPA. We talk a little bit about taxes here. CPAs and I kind of sync on a few things when it comes to tax planning. And I'm also not an attorney. We're not going to talk about estate plans or anything today, so we don't have to worry about that. We will talk a little bit about returns or investments. I think it's important to know that as things start heating up throughout the world, you might want to start circling the wagons or taking a little bit off the table, just at least till past the election. It's, you got to weigh these things out. If you got money in the market, the chances of it going up versus the chances of it going down. If you weigh that out, and just for a short period of time throughout the or through the election, I think you're going to be pretty happy if you pull some chips off the table. Anyhow, just my point of view. Everybody here is entitled to the workbook. So when you get a chance, please go ahead and download this. I will show you where it is. And as a matter of fact, if you go into chat, you go to the website at the top, or you click on the forms below, and that will take you directly over to the page where you can download your workbook. All right, so why is Social Security such a hot topic? This is kind of what I alluded to earlier, in that there's so many people taking Social Security out that are putting in these days. And if you really look at it, there's 280,000 people per month taking out of Social Security, new people. So it is draining the Social Security system very, 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 very quickly. And I'll show you that here in a minute. So what does it mean to you? And what does it mean to me and most of the folks that I advise? It means this, that we really start with building your retirement plan based on Social Security. I'd say about half of the folks that I work with, they require or count on Social Security. It doesn't matter if it's $1,800 a month or it's $3,500 a month. Most people are counting on that Social Security. It is an entitlement. If you qualify, you definitely want to get the most out of it. And this is where most financial advisors get it wrong, because you need, and I need, and they need to make sure that they are getting you the most, because this is going to last you a lifetime. Over the course of your lifetime, making this one wrong decision could cost you $500,000 or more. Just this one decision, which is Social Security. That's why it's so important. All right. So, as you know, corporations, they kind of don't give pensions anymore. There is government agencies, some things like that. There are some municipalities, police officers still get it, but by and large, most corporations have done away with the pension plans. Now, most of them do have 401k plans, but 401k plan means that you need to be diligent and you need to be able to put money away for yourself down the road. Nobody's going to be looking out for you. You don't make contributions. You wait till you're 55, you retire at 60. You're not going to have a lot of time to uh, accumulate a lot of money, but more importantly, you're not going to have time. Time and having exponential returns or being able to get higher returns is much more important when you factor in time than it is the amount. So anyhow, most people know that uh, it takes a long time to accumulate money. So again, we talked a little bit about ensuring your retirement. That is what Social Security is. Okay. That you should be looking at as a retirement for longevity in retirement. So if you live 100 years or you live 120 years, doesn't matter. As long as you're getting Social Security and they don't mess it up too much, you will be getting paid for life. All right. The main reason why we also want to do this again is if you live, and by the way, most break even, if you ever look at a break even between the time you start at 62, which is the first year you can start Social Security at a reduced rate, or if you take it at age 70, usually the break even is about 86 years old. All right. So something happens to you before age 86, you would have been better off taking it early. If you live longer than 86, you're better off waiting until age 70 to take it. And I'll show you some of those details. But again, if you've got a 50-50 chance of living to be 93 if you're married, you got to look at this as though you are going to be collecting. Now, there is a chance that if you've got, quadruple bypass, you got high blood pressure, you're on dialysis, you got a kid in the machine, and you got cancer in your family. All right, well, I can see where that might be where you want to go ahead and start taking Social Security early. But by and large, most people want to go ahead and postpone security. The question when you do that, though, is where's the money come from? Where does the money come from the time you quit and the time that you want to start taking Social Security? We'll address that. All right, so how long you live? Again, I like this because every once in a while I have to change this slide, but I haven't changed it in a while. This lady lives to, she's actually 117 years old, and she lives here in San Francisco. And I just put this in there because it's kind of interesting. Oldest lady in the world. So what's our focus for today? Our focus for today is to dial in what you can get in Social Security, how you get it, and what you can do in order to change your benefit or maximize your benefit. All right, so we're going to talk about benefits, strategies for married couples, divorced couples, widows and widowers, and we're going to finish up with taxes. Remember, for every tax dollar you save, that's a tax dollar in your pocket. So we want to make sure that we are dovetailing on your Social Security, but we want to minimize the amount you're paying on your Social Security. So that's super important. There are some other things that come or get involved when you turn 65. There's IRMA. There's some other terms that you may hear that actually your taxes go up, but we want to make sure that we're going to minimize your taxes. All right. So again, basics of Social Security. How do you qualify? One of two ways, really. You can sort of figure this calculation out, but if you ever log into ssa.gov, it'll tell you right at the top, it'll say qualified or not qualified yet. So 99% of the folks that are going to join this webinar are going to be qualified, because if you're not qualified, you pretty much know you haven't worked 10 years. And it's 10 years of work, but it's 40 credits. So it's basically 4 quarters a year. That's how you get the 40 credits. And you earn a credit for every $1,500 roughly that you earn in any one quarter. So this does come into play for folks that do seasonal type jobs. For instance, you ever see those guys that pull out crab pots, or any of those type of seasonal kind of outdoor jobs, they don't typically work more than 6 months a year. So they, in theory, would run into this issue, but not by and large, most people don't. And it is looking at the 35 highest years index for inflation. So index for inflation means that whatever you made in 1980, let's say, it's a factor of 4. So if you made $20,000 in 1980, it's roughly indexed for inflation, roughly $80,000. So they're going to take the highest 35 years, and typically it's going to be your last, 35 years. But they're going to add all that up and get you a multiplier and figure out what your benefit's going to be. So now there are some exclusions, and it's basically if it's really government workers, and there can be some state, and there's a local junior college near here that does not pay into Social Security. I've worked with some of the folks there. So there are some things where folks have opted out, and they pay into their own Social Security plan. It's not like they don't get Social Security from their employer, but in the event the local government or whatever goes bankrupt, then they got a problem. So, anyhow, it's not often, but it can happen. How does Social Security work? And this is pretty simple. 6.2% of whatever you get paid up until $168,000 in earned income goes towards Social Security. Now, your employer is going to also match 6.2. So it's 12.4 total that goes into Social Security. There's another 3.5% that goes into Medicare as well, but we're just covering Social Security today. But 12.5%. Remember that first slide I showed you? It equals about $1 million that you've paid into Social Security. So what about solvency? This is where people start getting nervous and they kind of lean into the camera here. It is in the red. Been in the red now since 2010. They say it's fully funded through 2035. However, they said it was fully funded to 2040 just a couple of years ago. So that number keeps getting shorter and shorter. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit, well, a couple of things. One is if we go to war anywhere, it'll shorten this number. Two is if we have some sort of big recession. I know they're trying to avert that, but in the event we do, not as many people will pay into it. That'll shorten this number. There are many, many things that's going to shorten this number. There is not a single thing on the horizon, not a single thing on the horizon that says this is going to be prolonged or be fully funded longer than 2035. Again, my estimate, I bet it's 2031, 2032. This thing goes belly up. So they're going to have to fix it. All right. This administration coming up, doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, they are going to have to address it, but they're going to also, in the event we have a recession, they're going to have to fix it. All right. So they won't be able to keep pushing this. I think this is the last administration that's going to be able to have to tackle this, or that's going to have to tackle this. So anyhow, we'll see what happens. But again, once it goes belly up, 83 cents on the dollar. There's a couple of different ways that they can fix it. One is increase the minimum retirement age to 64, 65. Today, it's age 62. Increase full retirement age. Full retirement age could be, it is 67 now, but maybe they post it to age 70, 72. Again, the average life expectancy when this first came out was 68, 69. So the average life expectancy today is far greater. This isn't supposed to be something to cover you in retirement. This was really designed to be old age retirement, meaning that you live past the average life expectancy. And at 80 years old, 85 years old, they're not going to expect you to be able to go out and get a job. So anyway, that's what it was designed for. Obviously, it's made some variations along the way. They could increase the payroll tax. Remember, we said that's 12.4, but they could make it 15, 18. I pay 8, you pay 8. Your employer pays 8. So there are ways that they can get around it and fix it, and they can reduce the benefits. But politicians love to not get voted out of where they're at. So chances of them reducing this benefit, I would say, is less than zero. They would just as soon raise everything across the board than reduce benefits. So that's simply not going to happen. Although, you say that, but who knows? If nobody touches it, it will be reduced benefits. Okay. If everybody treats it like a hot potato and they just kick the can down the road, which is terminology they like to use, in theory, they could. I don't see how they're going to be able to do it that way, but they could. Full retirement age. I'm going to use this chart here for most people on this call, though. Full retirement age is age 67. By and large, most people on this call are 55 and up. I mean, 1955 and later, as far as the year born. But as you can see, if you take it early, you get a 25% haircut. If you take it at age 70, you get a 30% bump. So that's about 8% per year. And by the way, it's not, you don't have to wait until your anniversary or your birth date for that to take effect. It is actually every month that you wait. It is 1/12 of 8%. I get that question a lot, but the answer is it is prorated throughout the year, throughout the month, or throughout the months, not necessarily by your birthday. So PIA is primary insurance amount. That is the amount that you get when you are age 67 for most of you, 66 on this chart, but age 67. So that is your primary insurance amount. All right. So there are three distinct Social Security benefits. There's a retired worker benefit. That's you and me benefit. That's our benefit that we've earned ourselves, and we get that benefit. There's a spousal benefit. So you are going to take roughly 50% of a spouse's benefit. So that's number two. And three is widower, or I like to call it survivor benefit. And this is where you are going to be taking your spouse's or surviving spouse's benefit. Obviously, one of the spouses has had to have deceased, but there's rules for all these. So let's go through a couple of the rules. Again, 2015, they basically said, you know what, people were gaming the system. We're not going to allow it anymore. And that's really what this amounts to. Filing options, you can voluntarily suspend. Okay, so you can call them up and say, hey, something's not working right. And by the way, this is why we give you the workbook, because if you, this is the way you use the workbook. You get the workbook, print it out, go ahead and open it up, but log into ssa.gov and then write in the amounts that you have every year. I would say probably not a lot, but 2-3% of the folks that I talk to, there are mistakes in their Social Security benefit. I worked with a teacher one year, and she had 2 or 3 years that were missing, and she was getting $75,000-$80,000 a year. So when they were calculating her benefit, it was way off, because obviously these were the highest years, the latest 2-3 years. So we had to go in there and fix that. She had to give them her W-2s, show that it was in there, show that she had paid taxes. But it's not instant. And if you gloss over this, you miss out on your benefit. And if it goes past day 365, you are stuck in getting this fixed. So this is why I say this. It's super important. And you can rescind your application. I only had this happen one out of all the people I've ever dealt with. He received his mom had died, so he got an inheritance, large inheritance. But he wanted to go ahead and stop his benefit, and he had just applied for Social Security. But it was when COVID was hitting, and he could not get to see somebody in the Social Security office. By the way, if you ever call Social Security in the morning, make sure you got your battery charged on your phone, because sometimes it can take a long time. During COVID, it could take 6 hours. So it was insane. But anyhow, COVID, a lot of things were insane during COVID. But you can stop your benefit. You pay back what you had put in, and it's as if you had not taken it. So that's one way to also get a higher amount. If you're married, a couple rules. First off, you got to be married for at least a year. Primary worker must have filed. I'll explain. Generally, you must not qualify for a benefit of your own that is equal to, in other words, what does this mean? This means that if, I guess it's easier to do this quick little illustration. All right. So John here is making $2,000 a month. Jane, let's say she was a homemaker for this example. Could be John being a homemaker. I don't want to offend anybody, but Jane would be entitled to $1,000 because it's half of John's primary insurance amount. Now, this is where it gets a little bit sticky because it's the primary insurance amount, not the amount he gets, primary insurance amount. Okay. So that's important because this first, sorry, where I have circled here, you can see there's a reduction. So if John started at age 62, he would only get 75% of his benefit, but the spouse doesn't get 50%. She gets 70% of 50%. So this is where it gets a little bit off the rails. So if you are looking to do spousal, it's important for your spouse to go ahead and start it at full retirement age so they get the full benefit, because this is where you get your full benefit as a spouse. All right. By the way, if your spouse waits and says, "Oh, I want to accumulate the 132," the spouse never gets 50% as it goes up. They only get 50% of what the benefit would be at the full retirement age. And again, for this, it's 66. All right. So that's important to know. You don't get any escalators, but you do get downgraded in the amount that you get if your spouse files early. All right. This is why it's important to file on time. Survivor's benefits. This is kind of interesting. It's obviously the death of the first spouse. And you also need to make sure that your benefit isn't higher than your spouse's. If your benefit's higher than your spouse's, then you get your own benefit. They're not going to decrease it. And secondly, you don't get two benefits. You only get one. You only get the higher of the two. So your spouse, when he passes away, yours is higher than your spouse's, then your spouse gets the increase. If yours is less than your spouse, then I'm sorry, if yours is higher than your spouse, then when you pass away, you get the higher of the two. All right. So that's important to know. You don't get two benefits. I get a lot of people that ask me that. They only allow you one per household. All right. Most common mistakes is that the higher wage earner files early, which shortchanges the other spouse. All right. We don't want to do that. And again, we have software here that tells us when the best time to file. And both delay past full retirement age and no one claims a spousal benefit. Again, we want to make sure that one of you claims and the other one waits. Right? Considerations for divorced. Now, this one always raises some questions, and the last bullet point here is the most least understood, I should say. So this is pretty simple. You got to be married for 10 years. Pretty straightforward. By the way, you could be married 10 years to multiple people and pick the highest of whoever you were married 10 years to. All right. So you can be, you can get the highest benefit, assuming you got married at 20 and you're 60 now, you got 5 chances here to pick which one you want to do. Currently not married. So in order to get the other spouses who was hired, you would have to get divorced if you had a different spouse. So you would get spousal benefits if you're married. If you're not married, though, you get your pick of the litter as to who you want your or who you get the benefit from. Same benefits and reductions apply for regular spousal benefits. Here's the tricky one. You got to be divorced for 2 years. Countin and I were talking to a couple. Countin said, no, you can go ahead and file for, you just got divorced. Go ahead and file for spousal benefits. And I said, no, you can't do that. There's a 2-year waiting period. No. I said, all right, well, they change the rules on these every once in a while. So, I didn't know. They didn't change the rule, by the way. So he called me about 2 weeks later and said, oh, you know what? That client can't get that, can't get spousal benefits or divorce benefits because they haven't been divorced for 2 years. I say, yeah, I kind of thought that was the case, but sometimes, they change these. Um, Common questions we hear: if you're divorced, the real struggle here, if you're divorced, is figuring out how much your benefit is from your divorced partner. All right. Now, if they're deceased, it's not so bad. But if they're divorced, if you're divorced and you call Social Security Administration and say, "Hey, I need to know what my benefit is of my spouse, so I know whether or not I should take spousal or divorce benefits," they are not allowed to tell you that. They are not allowed. So you got to figure out a way that they can tell you. There's all these rules that federal government agencies cannot divulge information about somebody that's not on the phone. So if you're divorced and you don't talk to that person anymore, it's going to be a challenge for you to figure this out. It's a challenge every time we talk to somebody. So it's not that you can't do it, but you almost got to go down there and say, look, I need to file for Social Security, but I need to know which benefit I need to file for. And I've had clients have the person will tell you, file for a divorce. I can't tell you what the benefit is, but you'll get more if you file for divorce. It's hard as a financial advisor to get that kind of information and not be able to plan these things out, but it does happen. In worst case scenario, at least they'll tell you which one to do. All right. So spouse is not notified. So don't worry about that. It doesn't affect your spouses. They don't even know. You need to get the highest benefit you can. All right. So what happens with survivor benefits? First off, you got to be a survivor. All right. One of the spouses has had to have passed away. This one's sticky though. The 60 years old rule. So um, you cannot get remarried before age 60. So that's really what this rule states. If you get remarried before you hit age 60, you cannot get a widow or widower benefits, survivor benefit. They will disallow it. All right. So you need to be married for a minimum of 9 months. Now, this is up to interpretation because if there's a married couple, they get married, one of them goes off to fight overseas, they get killed in action or whatever that is, they make exemptions for that. All right. This is to prevent people from getting married. And one of them getting married right before they pass away and say, oh, well, now you can have my benefit. So they don't like that. And that's why they do it. Here's a quick example to bring the point home. So you got John was married and he died at age 64. His benefit at full retirement age was $2,150. Jane was 5 years younger, age 59, and she remained unmarried. Again, I want to illustrate the fact that she remained unmarried until after age 60. If you're going to get married at 59, I say postpone the wedding. It'll mess up your benefit. All right. And then Jane's estimated benefit on her own at 62 was 1,197. So somebody comes to me and says, Terry, this is kind of my situation. I want to start getting my benefit, or how do I maximize Social Security? And there's really three ways you can do this. First strategy is file for widow benefits at age 60. All right. This is important. Oh, sorry. This is important to know because you're filing early, right? Age 60, again, widow benefits or widower benefits, you can file before age 62. You can file at age 60. You get your benefit, it's $1,537 a month. Not bad. So we're going to assume that she lives to age 85. So it's $461,000. Oh, sorry. Oh, I keep hitting my mouse button. $461,000. Option two, we say, all right, well, we need you to wait to age 62. You're going to file for your benefit, which is $1,197. But then we're going to switch to the widow benefits at age 67, and now we get $2,150. So as you can see, that raises it up about $70,000. So just by knowing, remember, wouldn't it be nice if somebody were able to sit down with you and figure out, say, look, just by holding off, you're able to make $70,000 in retirement, also security. And then we say, well, there is one final strategy. That's to file early and let your benefit ride up until age 70. in which case you would get 563,000. So an additional 33,000, I'm sorry, $30,000 ish from strategy number 2. So in essence, we're able, just by planning properly, to get her from 460 to $560,000 in Social Security benefits, just by knowing the strategies and how to basically squeeze the most out of Social Security. This is what I'm saying as far as benefit. You really should talk to somebody to figure out how to maximize this benefit. All right, so this is one important part because everybody wants to know if you can still work and collect in Social Security. You can. However, if you make over $22,000 a year before you reach your full retirement year age, remember, for most everybody here, it's 67. But they will claw back $1 for every 2 you made over. So let's say you make $42,000 and you started your Social Security. They will take back 10,000. And essentially the way they do it is that they just don't pay your first 5 months. That is the collection period where they're taking the money back. So first 5 months, they don't pay you. Month 6, you will get a check for roughly $2,000. So if you want to avoid that, you need to not start Social Security. It's that simple. I do have people that started. I had one, unfortunately, I had a lady start it. She was making about 60,000. She was a teacher again. And I said, why would you do that? I said, you're not going to get any benefit. She's like, no. I was told by a friend that I'll get $28,000 a year or whatever the case is. I go, you will, but you got to be 67 before you do it. I said, you're 63. Don't do it. She goes, no. I believe my friend. I go, okay. I said, again, I felt bad for her because she did get a couple checks. And then once the IRS figured out that she was making over $22,000, she stopped getting checks. I said, look, what you got to do now is you got to go back and pay the money back. She goes, well, I don't have the 15,000 or whatever she got to pay it back. I go, get a loan. I said, because you are never going to increase this. And you've locked in a lower Social Security benefit now for the next 4 or 5 years while you're working. Anyhow, she didn't do it. So I felt bad for her. And again, 59,000, if it's the year you do retire, it's a little bit less strict, but you can earn, you can't earn a lot. Taxes. This trips up a lot of folks. So there is an IRS publication strictly that says how much of your IRS or how much of your Social Security is going to be taxed. And as you can see here, it's a 33-page document. So it's a rather lengthy document just on how to figure out your taxes on Social Security. Most CPAs or most tax accountants or whatever is going to know this, but if you do TurboTax, it's on there. But this is how it works. If you get $24,000 in Social Security, you basically half it. So line 2 is $12,000. Line 3 is how much other income did you earn outside of your Social Security. All right. So you earn 24,000, you divide it by 2, which is 12. You add up how much other income you had, like if you are taking money out of 401ks, IRAs, things like that. So this person had 15,000 in income. So it's 27,000. 27,000 they had an income for, again, this is illustration, but say it's for 2023. Remember that number, 27,000. Because before I get there, I want to show you that if you have money coming out of Roth IRAs, if you have money coming out of insurance policies where you're taking a loan against the policy, and also if you have real estate where you are deducting the income by amortizing depreciation, there's only 3 ways that you can get line 3 down. All right. Those are the 3 things. So you get these 3 things down, it's good. One thing that is not included for those of you living in high tax states like New York, California, some others, you need to know that your municipal bond portfolio or money that you're getting municipal bonds counts against you. This is the one instance where getting municipal bond interest income affects your taxes on your or it affects how much tax your Social Security is getting. All right. So let's jump on $27,000. Remember, that's our magic number. 27,000. So if you're single and 27 falls right here, so anything below 25,000, you don't pay any tax on your Social Security. Between 25 and 34, you pay 50%. You pay on 50% of your Social Security. And anything above 34,000, you pay 85% on your Social Security. You don't pay 85% tax. That's not your tax rate. That is just the amount of your Social Security that you have to add to your income. And that is the amount that you will pay. So if you're in a 10% tax bracket, $34,000, you will pay $3,400. So pretty straightforward. But if you're married now and you earn 27,000, that's a good thing because you don't pay any tax on your Social Security. By the way, if this were fair, that 25,000 should be 50 for married couples. That 34,000 for singles should be 68,000 for married. Both parties are trying to do something with this year. Let's see what they can pull off, but both are waving magic wands saying, vote for me and we won't tax your Social Security. Will it get done? I don't know. They need to have it weighted somehow. I mean, let's look at Bill Gates. I mean, do you think Bill Gates needs Social Security? No. They should probably do some sort of weighted average. But anyway, they'll figure it out. Here's a quick example. You get a client comes to me and they're 62 and 164. They have $34,000 in Social Security if they took it early. Okay, now this illustration just shows what the effects are if you take Social Security early or if you plan to maximize your Social Security. So this is important. This 34 is if early. They have about $750,000 in IRAs and 401ks. They need a 6%, or we're going to assume that they get a 6% annual return. 3% inflation. So that's about right. This past year was a little higher. Years prior to that, it was lower, but 3%'s about where it is. And they say, you know what, Terry, we need $70,000 a year to meet our inflation after tax. We need 70,000. And we need it to go up by 3% per year in order to meet or expenses. All right. So the first thing we figure out is that average life expectancy is 86, 89. So here's a quick chart that illustrates how much money they need and where the money comes from. So the red line is how much they need. The orange above the red line is taxes. The orange line below the red line is 401k and IRA withdrawals. And the blue line is their Social Security. So you can see they're getting Social Security, goes up. They are starting early. So year one, they get a little bit, year two, a little bit more, until finally year four, they are getting, their full Social Security. But you notice here, year 23, something dramatic happens. Where the orange lines up here. Well, unfortunately, in this example, this client would have run out of money in 24 years. So you see, if they started Social Security and we say, all right, well, they need $70,000 a year. What happens if they start later? What happens if we maximize the Social Security? So we say, okay, same thing, same everything, right? $70,000 a year, 3% inflation, 6% growth in their investments. Orange line above the red is taxes. Orange line below it is the amount that they have put in, or the amount that they're taking out of their IRAs and 401ks. But you see, they're not taking any money, or they're maximizing their Social Security. So what effect does that have? Well, you saw earlier that in year 24, if we took Social Security early, then year 25 on, they ran out of 401k money. So they essentially ran out of money. Still got Social Security. So we say, all right, well, let's take a look. Is it better for them to have gone ahead and taken it early or later? And so if you look, if you compare the two, if you maximize it, they would have taken $186,000 more in Social Security. They also got 14 more years in longevity in the portfolio, $35,000 less in taxes. So it's really a trifecta. You earned almost another $200,000 a year. You got 14 more years to live on your savings, and you paid about $35,000 less in taxes. All right. So a couple things about your statement. First off, there's no cost of living increases. So what does that mean? If you look at your statement, it does not, let's suppose you're looking at your statement, you're 60 years old and you want to retire at age 67. That number you see on there is underestimated because we know that on average, there's a 2.5% cost of living increase every year that is not being applied. So for you, it's going to be under by about 15%. So, and also, it also assumes that you are going to work up until age 67. So if you retire at age 60 and you don't work to age 67, it's overrepresenting because it's going to assume that those 6 years or 7 years, you are going to be earning the same amount you are this year. So it's going to factor that into your calculation. So the statements aren't very accurate. It's a guide, and it's a good guide, except if you're looking at you're 50 years old and you're looking at your Social Security statement, it is not very accurate. If you're looking at it at 66 and you're going to retire at 67, it's pretty accurate. All right. So the longer out that you plan on retiring and the longer out that you aren't going to work, it does affect that statement quite a bit. So again, we have software that puts all that together for you. And it looks at your records only. It won't look at your spouses. It won't say, hey, you know what? You should actually take your spouse's benefit and, postpone your own. They don't really give you any advice. Again, if the IRS or the Social Security Administration gives you bad advice, you can in theory sue them, right? They're giving you bad advice. They're the experts. They don't give you advice for this very reason. And they've been told not to give advice. So it's important to find somebody that works with Social Security, professional that does. Roth rollout strategy. Now, this is interesting because remember, I said that we want to maximize your minimize your tax and maximize your benefit. So here's a married couple. And by the way, this actually happens to be a client that of mine. So I won't give you the names, but we did this looking at Roth conversions because, well, I'll just go into the example. So it's a married couple. They were both working for the government. I believe it's Texas. They didn't need money out of their investment income because between Social Security and their pensions, they had enough to live on for retirement. But they had been able to put about $1.3 million in a 457. So it's government 457. He had about $1 million. She had about 300,000. So you can see here, if we look and we plan out, and this I love the software because it kind of gives you a snapshot as to how much taxes you're going to pay. If you see later in life, and by the way, the reason why we do this is that, require minimum distributions. I don't know if you've heard of the term, but at certain ages, again, it's 74 for most of you. At 74, you have to take money out of your IRAs and 401ks, 457s. So that ever so increases. And because this married couple is getting Social Security and pensions, which never go down, they in the long run, look, when they get older, they're writing a check. By the way, this isn't how much money they made. This is tax view. This is how much money they are writing to the IRS to pay their taxes because of RMDs. All right. So I don't know about you, but writing a check to the IRS for $500,000 would make me sick to my stomach. Maybe some of you it wouldn't, but I think by and large, most of us would say writing a check for even $300,000 or even $100 and some thousand. All right. Yes, they had the money. Yes, they got the money, but there is a better way. And a better way is to just look at a Roth rollout strategy. Again, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We're just taking money and we're converting it earlier in their retirement. So what it means is that they are paying a little more in taxes here. The taxes they're paying front loading is in red, but they're saving all the tax amounts here in green. Doesn't mean that you don't pay taxes down the road. It does mean that you are minimizing it quite a bit. If you say, well, how much did it minimize? Well, the interesting thing here is it saved them over $1 million in taxes. $1 million in taxes. Okay. This isn't extra money. This is just extra money they didn't have to write to the IRS. So, what's the downside to this? The downside is you have to pay a little more upfront. The bonus to you is that it saves you a ton of money in taxes. Again, this is only $1 million. I've run this for people with $2 million, $3 million. It is substantial, the amount that you can save in taxes. All right. So that's one of the issues with having a lot of money in 403(b)s and 401(k)s is that you did a great job saving money, but now the IRS is coming for their pound of flesh, basically. So, what do you get from us? Social Security analysis, or why do you want our Social Security analysis? Again, you get that workbook. That workbook is a go as you self-paced. It is your workbook. You fill it out, you're on your own, and you can kind of check, see if there's any errors. If you want us to go in there and help you, we look and we put it into our software and we show you how to maximize your Social Security. Not only do we show you how to maximize Social Security, but how much you're going to get. Again, I showed you a couple of examples, but we can figure out to the penny based on your life expectancy how much you're going to get. Not only that, but our analysis helps you coordinate your benefit. You say, well, geez, I've been married. I was married for 12 years. Should I take their benefit? Should I get spousal benefit? Should I take my own benefit? We don't know. But if you come see us, then we can put that together, help you coordinate that benefit. And third off is we're going to show you how to bridge the gap. Remember, I said that if you're looking to retire at age 63, and you're saying, geez, I really want to start Social Security at age 67. How do I bridge that gap? What kind of investments should I get? Should I have stocks? Should I be selling stocks every month in order to make that bridge or bridge that gap? We have a 100%. Everything is put together in a plan. We show you step by step how to bridge the gap if that's something that is of benefit to you. And again, you get all these colored slides. It's about a 35, 40 page document that's going to show you what strategy to use, all the alternative strategies, why the alternative strategies, how much is better than the other. But again, I always love this. For this particular example, I said it was 86. For this example, though, it's 77 years old is the break even. So for this person, if they started at age 62 or they waited till age 78, 79, they make more if they live to age 78, 79, 80 is a break even, but they make more if they had waited. And you'll get this illustration as well. All right. So let me ask you, if all we did was show you how to get an additional $50,000, $60,000 out of Social Security, wouldn't it be great for you to get our analysis? If we also showed you how to reduce your taxes and do this Roth rollout strategy and save $100,000, $200,000, again, this strategy works for anybody with $250,000 or more. Doesn't work as much, but it certainly works. It may save you $50,000 in taxes. Wouldn't you want to know how to save $50,000 in taxes? And the answer to most folks are 100% yes. And it also increases your legacy by roughly 25%. So this conversion strategy that we talk about, not only does it help you reduce your taxes, not only does it help you increase your Social Security, but it also allows you to increase the amount that you leave as a legacy to whoever beneficiaries you have, whether it's your dog, which I hope it's not dog. Some people do. Your cat, your kids, maybe it's some sort of church establishment or cancer society. Whoever you're leaving your money to, this is a great way to leave about 25% more. But more importantly, even though it does give you increase in the amount, think of this, and this comes up quite a bit. If you leave this to your children, and let's say that you left them $500,000 in IRAs or 401ks, they have 10 years in order to take that money out. But I will say this, most people take it out year one. Very few take it out over a 10-year period of time. But that means that your kids are going to pay 37% in taxes, whereas you could have paid it for them and given them that money without any taxes due. So that's the other reason why we present this, is that it saves everybody a lot in taxes. It can actually increase your legacy. And, wouldn't it be worth it to just get an analysis done to see if any of these strategies or if all these strategies work for you? All right. So again, what you get our Social Security analysis. Remember, you get the workbook for free. You can log on. You go to maxoursocialsecurity.com. You pick that up. It gets downloaded right as to your inbox as a PDF. You do get, again, you get Social Security analysis. If you come see us, I'll show you how to do that workbook and the Roth rollout strategy. All right. So if you want to do that, you can go to maxoursocialsecurity.com. I do have time now to answer questions. I've got about 9 minutes here. And so when you go to maxoursocialsecurity.com, there's two ways to find it. First off, let me illustrate that. If you go and click on chat, let me see if I can put it in here again. If you go on chat, you can either type in maxoursocialsecurity.com, or you can go and just click on that share form. It's share.hsforms.com. You'll come to this page here. It'll have a picture of the workbook. You just fill that in and it gets sent to you. If you do decide that you want to get your free analysis, excuse me. Let me go back to that. Share screen is share screen 2. Let me go here to the end of the presentation. Sorry. Started coughing, hit the mouse button, and there it goes. So now I gotta scroll through everything here real quick. All right, again, this is the end. maxoursocialsecurity.com. And if you want to get your Social Security analysis or Roth rollout strategy analysis, you just click on that yes button. That yes button pulls up our calendar. You pick a time where you want to come see us, and it puts it into our calendar. So pretty simple and straightforward. And from there, I will jump over and let me go ahead and answer some of the Q&A. So again, if you have questions, feel free to pop that up in the Q&A. I see that there's been questions. Let me answer number one. Rochelle asked, how much money can you earn if you take Social Security before full retirement age? So that was in my presentation. It's 22,000 roughly. By the way, as a strategy for folks that are asking me this question, it really depends on if you are going to retire and work. And I will suggest this: if you're going to retire and work part-time, if you're going to be making about $30,000 a year, that's kind of the trade-off. If you're going to be making more than 30, I would suggest not doing it. If you're going to be earning less than 30, maybe. And the maybe is if you don't have if you don't have enough assets really to bridge you. Remember, there's a bridge between the time you want to retire and the time you do retire until full retirement age. Full retirement age is typically where we like people to retire. Also, if you are 65. So if you're 65, you get Medicare. Now, a quick little word on that because I see somebody asked me a quick little Medicare question. Medicare, you do get at age 65. As of right now, okay, you pay $177.50 per year, or I mean, sorry, per month. That covers your Part B. Part A is free. Part B you pay for. Again, I have other presentations that I go into Medicare and talk at length. I got another hour-long presentation. So you will, as you signed up for this, you will get invitations out to those presentations as well. But just so you know, Medicare is a whole nother topic. And then you pick one or two plans. You either get an Advantage plan or traditional Medigap insurance. Medigap is where you go to any doctor that takes Medicare. The Meta share plans are kind of difficult because you have to go to their doctors, you have to go in plan. It's sort of like an HMO, right? So there's variations. But I will say if you go with the HMO style, you do get vision and dental, whereas the other type traditional Medicare plans, you do not. So anyhow, I don't want to get too much into Medicare because this is Social Security, but good question. I do appreciate that. All right. So that one's done. Yes. No, okay. The question is the workbook free? Yes, the workbook is free. Basically, you just click on the share HSA form, or if you are watching this on YouTube on the replay, just go to www.maxoursocialsecurity.com. That is where you can schedule your time with us. But that's also where you're going to get the workbook. All right. And again, that gets mailed to you or sent to you as a PDF. So yes, you do get that. That is free. If you want to schedule the time with us, that's where you click on the thing. And you're not obligated to. You can click no if you want. All right. Next question. The rollout strategy. Yeah, the rollout strategy. The reason why I added that to this is that I was getting a lot of questions when I called folks today asking me about the market. Whenever somebody asks me about the market, one of the things that we like to do, by the way, the market's been very topsy-turvy, as you know. And you might have heard if you joined earlier this call, I did talk a little bit about the market. The market is very rocky right now. We're on the verge of war on many different fronts. We got a presidential election. We got, somebody trying to shoot at ex-presidents. There's a lot going on. All right. There's a lot to take in. I'm surprised the market's doing as well as it is. I mean, look at it this way. What's the upside of the market and what has to go right in order for the market to shoot up from here to the time of the election versus what can happen between now and the election? What's the downside risk? And look, if you take a look at it and you say, well, there's a lot more downside risk than there is upside risk, you do not have to be in the market. You can take some chips off the table, and hopefully, if the market crashes, you or don't have big losses. So, anyhow, my suggestion is just circle the wagons. I'll take one more question. Yes, you are welcome. I do try to do a good job with the plans here for Social Security. Because it is important. Again, one of the things about Social Security is that it is the first step in your retirement income plan. If your advisor hasn't talked to you about this or they haven't sat you down, you really need to sit them down and say, look, what's my plan? How much am I going to take? When am I going to take it? Why am I going to take it? How does it affect me long term? What's the effects if I do take it longer than sooner? You can get substantially more, hundreds of $1,000s more by taking it at the right time. All right. So I think we are just about out of time. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. For those of you who want to watch the vice president debates, that's what I'm logging into next. I kind of want to see what's going on. And again, thank you for joining. Please try to take advantage of the workbook and also the free Social Security analysis, the Roth analysis. You can do that now, and I do appreciate it. By the way, this is recorded. Everybody gets the link to this. It is being put up on YouTube. If you had more questions, or you want to zoom through there and see any of the sections again, feel free. We do leave it up for about a week. Or that's not true. What's today? Today's Tuesday. We do leave it up till Saturday, and then we have to take them down. Our compliance folks don't let us leave, attorneys. Attorneys don't let us leave it up forever. So please go ahead and take advantage of that as well. And thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you soon.